Hello everyone. I'm going to be remaking the video of loading the React application to SharePoint. I know that the original video is a little hard to see because the screen was so large, but I'm trying to make it a little more legible so you can see what I did. If I miss anything from the other one, I apologize, but I'm not going to be able to do it verbatim. I think that one was a little more scripted, which honestly I don't do that great with. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one a little bit unscripted, and you'll see exactly the process of creating of actually loading the application onto SharePoint. So let's do that. So first thing we're going to do is let's go back to the application first and foremost. And here in the application, we're going to run npm run build. And what you're going to immediately see is here inside of the boilerplate app, there's going to be a distribution folder that's going to load. And basically the application is going to build and it's going to put all of our artifacts in here. So I'm going to open this reveal in File Explorer. And so now that I revealed it in File Explorer, let's go to our SharePoint site. Instead of our SharePoint site, we're going to go to Site Contents. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Style Library. We're going to add a new folder. This is strictly optional, but I mean, I like to be a little organized, so I like to, if in case I have to do an application in a different language, obviously I don't typically do that, but it's just organization. And inside of this ENUS folder, I'm going to drag and drop. Actually, not in the ENUS folder. In the ENUS folder, I'm going to create a folder called Tacklebox. Now, inside of the Tacklebox folder, that's where I'm going to go and copy these two files, bundle and bundle.js, and I'm going to drag and drop them there. Okay. They will be checked out. Just if once you're done with development, will have to check them in. Obviously, you want to keep two different versions of this, one for development and one possibly for staging and one for production. Anyway, that being said, I load the files there. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to site contents again, and I'm going to go into the site assets. And in site assets, I'm also going to create a folder called Tacklebox. And inside of the Tacklebox folder, I'm going to be dragging and dropping the markup file, which in our case is index.html. Now, before we basically make the changes and we load this to our SharePoint site, we want to be sure that we modify this file, because right now, obviously, this would work if everything was inside this folder like it is right here for distribution, the distribution folder, the dist. But that's not the case. So what we're going to do is we're going to do dot backslash. And the first backslash is going to take us outside of, if you recall, right now the files are inside of the tackle box. We're inside of the tackle box folder inside of site assets. So we need to get out of there. So we are now in site assets, and then we do dot backslash to get out of site assets. And now we are at the top level. So now that we're at the top level, which is basically the folders that are side by side, we can now type in style library enus tackle box bundle.js. So this is going to essentially say, okay, we need to exit two folders out. And then once we've exited the two folders out, then we're going to be able to get the information from the bundle.js, which is now currently inside a style library. Okay. And I think I did this wrong. Sorry about that. There we go. It's supposed to be a forward slash. I always get my slashes confused, so I apologize for that. Again, unscripted here, so just bear with me. So we save our file. It's now pointing to the correct location. And one more thing that we need to do is we need to rename this file to ASPX, because SharePoint likes to work with ASPX files. So now we go back, you'll notice that this is an ASPX file. So inside of our site assets Tacklebox folder, we're going to drag and drop this index ASPX file in there. And now you can actually click on it and you'll see our application is running. It's running inside of the development uh, site. And that's all it takes really to load it to SharePoint. And now we're going to be able to use it. Keep in mind that every time that, let's say for instance, you wanted to use this HTML file inside of a content editor web part, um, just keep in mind that you have to make adjustments to that HTML file. So say for instance, let's go back to our site and we now want to put this file inside of a content editor web part. Well, let's go ahead and start by going to pages and let's create a new page. Let's create a web part page here. And we're going to call this tackle box, just as an example. Tackle box. We're not going to put it inside assets, we're going to put it inside pages. And we're going to create that. And we're going to add a web part. And let's go to media and content editor web part. And inside of our content editor web part, we are going to basically get this file to load here. So we're going to paste that in there, apply. Now what you're going to see is that nothing is showing up. And the reason being is if we inspect this, you see how it says failed to load, and that's because look at what's happening. It skipped one too many times. And so sites, it doesn't have sites training like it's supposed to have here. So if we want to create for a content editor web part, just make a copy of this file. So let's, oh, sorry, not this file. This file, let's make a copy of it. And instead of escaping twice out of the folder, we're only going to escape once out of the folder. So save that. And let's rename this to, instead of index copy, we'll call it content editor web part index.aspx, okay? So now that we have that ASPX file, let's go ahead and load it. Let's go to the SharePoint site. Let's duplicate this tab just so that we don't have to go too far. And back on the original, let's go to, close here, go to site contents, and under site assets, tackle box, let's go ahead and add that, that new ASPX file for content editor web part. How about we do that? So there it is. There's our index ASPX content editor web part. Now we can go here, and at the very end here for index.aspx, let's do CWP. Okay. And look at that. There's our application running. And it's also within SharePoint. So you can have the application running both ways. You can have it running as like a full page application where, I mean, you can't even see the SharePoint side. It's just basically part of SharePoint. Or you can have it embedded in a page so you still have the master page. So let's clean this up a little bit. So let's edit the web part and take off the title. So just put none on here, click apply. Now we're going to stop editing and look at that. We have our markup, I mean our whole master page up at the top. You can see we have our ribbon and then we have our navigation on the left, and the application is running within SharePoint. So this is going to cover it. I just wanted to share with you how you can load this application into SharePoint. I hope that you find this beneficial, and if you did, if you can, just I would appreciate a like, a comment if you didn't like it, or if you did like it, I would appreciate it. And if you can, subscribe. Thanks. That's it for me. Try catch angler here. Until I catch you the next time.